Hello, everybody. This is Steve Pappas over at Financial Equities. I'm a loan originator here in the Northport office, and this is another episode of What's the Rate podcast. I am here with Vinnie Suchdeve, who I've been doing work with for the past 4 months, I want to say, but more importantly, I've been very good friends with him for 20 years, so I'm excited to have you here, Vinnie, today. Thanks a lot.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me, man.
Likewise. Just for the people who don't know you, just maybe want to give a little introduction of yourself and the things you want them to know about you off the bat.
Hey, guys. My name's Vinnie Suchdeve. I'm an agent with Bird and Swing. I've been an agent for like the last 6 years. And yeah, man, I've been friends with Steve for much longer than that. Don't even have enough fingers and toes to count those.
So we've been fortunate, like we mentioned, to be friends for such a long time. And we come from a big group of people that you happen to do a lot of deals for and represent them.
Absolutely.
And these weren't small homes either. You know, our friends do pretty well for themselves, and these were multiple $1-million homes. So starting off with that, maybe, what was it like working with friends opposed to strangers you met through the career?
Yeah, it's definitely a little unique.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have a little bit more of an attachment. You're a little bit more like, I want to say like in with them. So you're going to see them still more often than you would see like a random person or a lead off the street. I don't want to say that I treat them any different. You know, I still try to give always the best service that I can, but you're just a little bit more invested in what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I know in the beginning, you know, there is a couple of deals that I did with my friends, and it did, you know, just being friends with them, it kind of like, I don't want to say it clouded my judgment a little bit because I would just second guess myself, like, because, you know, they're so close to me. I don't want to put them in a bad spot. So usually I'm very, you know, confident, and I always know what I'm, you know, have my process, and especially with homes and helping people buy homes or sell homes, you know, I'm going through my process. But just because they were like my friends, I guess, right, I would just always would like second guess myself a little bit. So it definitely took a couple of deals for me to overcome that. You know, you always have to really check yourself. So, you know, who's to say it's never going to happen again? But, you know, I have kind of found that like trust in myself to help my friend, a stranger off the street, just trust what I'm doing. And, you know, I'm always trying to do the right thing. So
were they easy clients? I have to put you on the spot.
Yeah, they were. You know, everyone wants the same thing.
Right.
Everyone just has a different approach.
Yeah. Some
people, you know, I guess maybe think being aggressive is a little bit more in their favor, but, you know, the goal is when you're an agent, you know, you got to kind of be in the driver's seat no matter what. So you have to approach everybody in that sense as well. Whoever the person that you're helping out, you have to kind of see what their vibe is like. If they like to be in the driver's seat, then you have to kind of step back a little bit, but still be there for them when they come across questions and things like that. So to the question, yeah, I mean, were they difficult? Not really, because you got to, you know, balance everybody on how they want to be how they want to be treated.
Yeah, and out of all our friends, they were all buyers, right? There was none of our friends.
There's a seller as well.
There was a seller?
Yeah, yep.
Cool. Are you looking back maybe within the last year or maybe even further? Are you working with more buyers? Are you working with more sellers? Are you noticing a pattern or a behavior amongst anything that stands out recently in your practice?
I think that in the beginning I was definitely more buyer heavy. Now I'm like definitely balanced. I would say if not like 50-50, it'd be like 55% sellers and 45% buyers. So I'm definitely balanced out. I think that in this industry you have to be balanced out, because being out with buyers, you know, and I work with all different price points and I work in all different areas, mm-hmm, you're really getting what's going on in the market.
Right.
When you're kind of like, say, selling homes only, or selling in a certain area, or selling a certain price point, you're just in that bubble. So you don't see what else is going on. Like, for example, right? Like, you know, obviously the Long Island, New York, whatever, real estate market's very hot, but, you know, when the rates went up, some price points took a hit.
Okay.
So, you know, working with all different price points, all different type of areas, you kind of get to see what works in some areas and what doesn't work, and maybe you could use those tricks here to kind of help sell houses somewhere else, or help even people buy houses somewhere else.
What's been the bread and butter lately? Is there a certain price range, certain location that you really just...
My first career, I was my bread and butter, quote unquote, would have been like the first time home buyer. But now I think maybe because of my age or just my time and experience, I really have gotten into like the person where they're buying their like step up home.
Right.
So like they have their first house, they've, they're growing out of it, which a lot of that is kind of slowed down right now because of these rates. But, it's hard for people to jump to the next house with the rate and, especially if they're locked in like one of those 2, 3, 4s. But I see that's where like a lot of my customers or clients are now. Someone that wants to make that step up or you want to buy their quote unquote dream home, right? But now they want to sell their current home. And, that comes with a lot of complications, You got to be able to time it correctly. You got to be able to coach them through, hey, look, your house may sell tomorrow, but you don't want to go somewhere before if you don't know where you're going,
Yeah. Let's go a step back. Let's take it back to when you first started the career. I remember when we were discussing things. You started with rentals.
Yes.
That was your bread and butter.
That was the main thing, man. The rentals were a great way to kind of get your foot in the door and see a lot of things and learn a lot of things. And it's just constant and there's more of it. And, you're dealing with people and you get to, ask with rentals, like if someone asks me how old a boiler is, technically it's a rental, so they don't always need to know that. But, like you still go look and you go ask and you figure out how to deal with other agents. So.
And you were doing more business at that time towards Queens.
Correct. I used to live in Queens.
So for whatever reason, I just think more, it's more cluttered. It's
correct. Way more rentals.
A lot more volume going on.
Correct.
So even though your commissions may not be as high, you're really just
doing more.
Yeah. And that's opening doors to obviously take that next step. And you kind of saw it like because you've been in the business how long now?
6 years.
6 years. So how many years was it when you kind of made that transition from building a foundation of the rentals? I'm sure there was a lot of recurring clients that you had that maybe bought their first home from that. And that's probably why I saw you grow the way you did, was because you had a really strong foundation and you just trusted the process and you didn't get ahead of yourself. And is that accurate? Is that
absolutely
somewhat?
Man. Absolutely. I mean, a big thing about the company I work for, Bird and Swing, is, it's about building strong relationships. I think that should be any industry.
Okay.
Right. So a lot of those people, there's actually one I can even think of that they came to me, they wanted to get a rental. I met them at a rental I had listed for somebody else. They bought their house and now they're probably going to, they called me, I think 2 weeks ago, they want to sell their house this summer. Yeah. So like that, just building that relationship, trying to make sure that, they get the best service, they get the best honest advice that I really do think, is going to put them in the best position. Mm-hmm. I think that translated and, like you said, built that foundation for me.
And when you first started, you were in the restaurant industry.
For a long time, man. For like 10 years.
Right. But before that, you always had, you were always the hustler of the group. We have a lot of very disciplined friends in our group, but like you were the guy always running in, running out with a Nextel with a little shiny antenna, like I gotta go, I gotta run. Whether it was working, what was it, the kiosk? Maybe it was selling cell phones. So you always had that entrepreneurial
chicken tonight
hustle,
delivery guy.
Chicken tonight. But the point I'm getting is you were working in the restaurant, and did you meet a lot of people through that before you ripped the Band-Aid off and went full time?
So the restaurant thing, I don't think exactly was where I met a lot of people for real estate, quote unquote. Okay. But it pretty much taught me like everything I need to know on the service side of being a real estate agent. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, when you're a real estate agent, you're in the service industry. You want to make sure your client has the best experience. So working in a restaurant for 10 years, it is the service industry in the sense that you want to make sure your tables have the best service, best experience. So a lot of those like principles of like, being, obviously this is obvious, but like being courteous or, saying like if you're going to go, making sure you kind of see what they need before they even need it.
Yeah.
Those principles have translated very, very much into real estate.
Okay.
When I first started real estate, I was in sales selling beer at Manhattan Beer.
Right.
So that's kind of when I was like, okay, like, I got the service side from the restaurant. I got the sales experience from Manhattan Beer. And, it's crazy how in life, all your experiences kind of like come together. And now this is what I'm doing, like, I think I like to believe I'm good at what I'm doing is because I had all those experiences and now I've used all them to kind of try to perfect what I'm doing now, you know?
Is there anything that sticks out from those jobs that kind of speeded your learning curve? Was it maybe it was training that you got, a language, a way of thinking? Was there any
specific? I mean, there's tons of stuff.
Was it just being in that environment? Maybe that was just comfortability. If it's not so much a sales training, or if there was anything.
Yeah, I think just the main thing that I got from all those jobs is just dealing with all different types of people.
Right. So the environment's just
like, look, there's nothing more intense than dealing with a hungry person. So the restaurant is that, like they're hungry, they expect a certain thing, and they just act like it's a certain way, right? So like dealing with those type of emotions are in that scenario, and then also like, dealing in the beer side, or even when I was in the medical dental sales side, like dealing with people that are dealing with their business, they're dealing with their money. So if you don't have the quote unquote correct beer or the wrong order or what you promised them, and now they're open for business, and now they're in this like intense situation. And, you have to learn how to deal with all these different emotions and types of people and the way they think. And that's kind of the main thing I got out of, because now, I deal with all different type of people and different type of price, like I said, price points, areas, this, that. So I got to kind of like understand what people want.
Yeah. You don't want to be learning at other people's expense.
Especially when they're buying a home.
Yeah.
And they're always learning, but you don't want to learn too much.
One thing I learned, because I was in a lot of very serious, different sales industries, and that's kind of foreseeing that and kind of having your house in order and creating a business plan around that. Because in the beginning, you don't have a lot of up at bats.
Correct.
You're going to make mistakes.
Correct. Yep.
And you're not going to make a lot of deals because of it. So, I mean, I don't like to have a bunch of corny lines, but I love a bite out of a watermelon is better than a full grape. In the beginning, if you're over your head and you see that happening, and it's least likely you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the confidence, bring somebody in, close a deal for you.
Correct.
Fight to see another day.
You learn a lot from that, man.
Yeah, your learning curve gets expedited. That's one thing I did in one business. I took that over here, and that's why, I start to see a lot of results from that. It's very cumulative. It's just a different office. You learn the product, but the approach, the art form, because at the end of the day, it is sales.
Yeah,
it is sales. You only get paid if you produce.
Correct.
But just being conscious of that, it really helps you help them. In the beginning of your practice, were there things that you did that you're not doing now that maybe you felt like back to the drawing board?
When I first started, I used to take everything very personally.
Okay.
Like anybody that doesn't have too much experience, like say agent would kind of like, for lack of better words, like big dog me.
Right.
I would take it like I'd be like, yo, man.
Yeah.
This guy, man, who does he think he is?
Take the wind out of your sails.
Yeah,
that could ruin a day. That could ruin a mental.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I would let stuff like that get to me, but that I don't anymore, because after doing this for so long, I see that. First of all, nobody knows everything.
Right.
Second of all, somebody could be doing it longer, or they're older than you, or this and that, but maybe they haven't done enough deals. That's when you're young. I started when I was like 25, right, or whatever, 26 or 27, something like that. People look at you like you're a kid. Like I didn't have grays in my beard, and I was like a kid. I guess I looked younger.
Is that what the industry does? It adds wisdom.
It ages, man. It ages you.
Wisdom.
It ages you. But people think they could, like, for lack of better words, big dog you because you're younger. But now I realize, like, they're probably just not confident in themselves, or they're just trying to maybe even try to just position themselves better in the deal or something like that. Where stuff like that I don't get really affected by anymore. Yeah.
I mean, before this, I was in financial planning, and it took a while for me to get confidence. And had I done things sooner, I probably would have made more money, but I was taking a lot more risks. So I know when I transitioned over to this, with the real estate license, you get it and you're off running, right? With the mortgage side, the application process, for whatever reason, the state takes like 6 to 8 months. Yeah. So it's like, instead of waiting 6 months and beginning from scratch, it's like, knowing everything I just explained, knowing how to speed in the learning curve from the other industry into this and get quicker responses and not have to work with senior broker, the loan originators. It was kind of like, all right, I got 8 months. Let me go into the office, learn the inside and out of everything. Man. So when I do step on the scene, and I can get paid for loans. My field time is equivalent to someone that year who is a senior loan
Correct.
originator,
You're
and I'm not learning
Yep.
at your expense. And honestly, I don't feel like I'm putting my foot in the mouth if I just like saying to people, I don't have the answers, because I know I'm very confident that my resources are second to none. I know the
Yeah.
people I work with.
Look,
I know I'm going to get you an answer
Yeah.
before a decision needs to be made. It's not going to postpone your process.
Exactly.
I'm not going to answer a question I don't know the answer to. They respect that. A lot of people might say, like, don't say that, don't do this. It's like, no, because
No one knows everything, dude.
I believe in my
It's as simple as that.
process.
Yeah. You're better off taking the time and giving the right answer than just trying to like fluff your way through it.
Yeah.
Then you're
100%.
then you'll shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Let's talk about some recent activity. We're doing a lot of door knocking.
Yeah, man. You kind of got me. You had the courage to do it. I've always like thought about doing it, and you've had some experience with that, and I guess it's a little easier to do it with somebody that you know. It actually wasn't too bad, and we already got some results.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I mean the weather's getting a little better, so
we got.
It helps.
You had once. We did it for about 3 weeks.
And not too long either, like maybe an hour a day.
No,
maybe an hour
no.
a week.
No.
Max.
I think those are one of those things that always needs to be done, even if you've been in the business for
always got to try
40
new
years
things.
or 40 days. Have a team that does it. Like you sold 2 homes on one block. Not even
Correct.
there was maybe a house between one another.
One house, a street.
It's like, how do you not capitalize that? And even if you're nervous, not have the conviction to say, this is I'm doing work in the area. You're going to be seeing a lot of me.
Yeah.
For the no solicitor signs, we're saying, hey, actually, we know someone who wants to buy something from you. So it's really just a lot of perspective. Going there by yourself is a totally different story. It's very cold.
It's nerve-wracking, man. I never thought, I don't know. You just said, let's try it out. So we tried it out, and so far it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
And we get our steps in.
We're burning calories. we're hanging out. We're having a good time. We're growing a business. And what's cool about it too is, you and I are constantly, we're humbling ourselves. We're right after that, it's overthinking is good. It could be a blessing and a curse. If it's not prolonging you because of procrastination for perfection, and you're actually sitting back and going, all right, like we're actually putting the time in. What could have we done? What could have we tweaked? Right? How do we get more responsive? And we're just constantly trying to
finesse it,
be more effective and more efficient, and be brutally honest about it. You had one sit down.
Yeah.
What was the experience now? Okay, you go, we have our language, we won't go into all that, but we have a blueprint of how we go about it. We have our language based off the first situation. You had to sit down. What was that conversation about? How did it start? Where did you end off?
Yeah, so, I mean, the first person called me randomly from the flyers we left. It's definitely different for me because a lot of my business is mainly referrals. Right. So either like I kind of know someone that knows you, or like I know someone that knows you, or you were referred to me to somebody. So like there's already that kind of like connection or rapport, right?
Yeah.
But this guy, I had no idea. He randomly called seems like just kind of, again, he doesn't know me personally, so it's like we gotta like, I gotta finesse the situation in that
And
sense.
based off just the instinctually, we saw he's put his house on the market multiple times over the
Correct.
years.
Twice.
He's rescheduled.
Twice.
He's not gonna be a quick decision maker.
Again,
so
yep.
your approach now when you sit down is more not to win him over. It's now for you to figure
I want
out
to see what he needs. I want to.
Why has this
Correct.
been going on?
Yeah, like what's the, if you want to sell your house, and like what's been the roadblock for you, So there's obviously reasons why you haven't done it before. So, we're just kind of here to solve the problem for you. So, just pretty much figure out why he's hasn't ever pulled a trigger. So it's not even about the house with this particular person. I feel like it's like what's going on in your life that you've gotten offers XYZ, like you haven't pulled the trigger. We need to find that out.
What would you say was the most expensive mistake you might have made? If there's anything that sticks out, if there's something just maybe early on that if you had to like give advice to someone who's just starting, I just say they've been in the business, they get this great deal and it's too much too soon.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest mistake was in the beginning and when I first started.
Yeah.
I didn't promote myself, and that cost me a bunch of deals because, like as much as you tell people, hey, your word of mouth is, you're seeing people all the time, you're telling them, but I never really like stood up on like the crate and had the horn in my hand, and it was like, I sell real estate. I think that was an expense because, there's a lot of deals and a lot of people bought houses that I feel like I would have been able to like help, and I think they would have.
So you're saying you didn't put yourself out there?
Correct.
Did you feel like did you feel inadequate just because it was did you feel uncomfortable? Was it like a new environment, like imposter syndrome, or was it?
I think I just was like not in the headspace to do it. I had the other job. I had I also probably thought, to be truthful, I thought like things would have just been handed over to me, and I don't know why I thought that. It's never been like that before. I don't know why this would be different, but I thought people would just start coming to me like, oh yeah, please, but let me sell my house or let me buy a house for you. But then I realized, like you do have to let people know that, the value you bring, right? Like
100.
There's a reason why they should call me. They shouldn't just call me because
you're Vinnie Chill.
That's not the reason to call me. The reason to call me is because I can help them sell or help them buy a house, and this is what I provide, and I should let people know that. I should let people know that.
Yeah, they have the right to know. Is there a home or a client or a scenario that sticks out that was really dicey, but knowledge and expertise was able to get the deal done? Something you really pat yourself on the back for?
Yeah, I mean, there's always like weird rocky situations in most deals. One just comes on top of my head. I had a person, I was selling their place and helping them buy another place, like I said earlier. The day we got into contract on their new property, this was like last summer, so it was like crazy, right? Just like how this market is. So we're just struggling. Finally got a spot. They signed the contract. I was leaving to like a trip with my family like that next week, and I was like, all right, this is all set now. Like 2 days before I leave, the buyer's agent on their place, he calls me. He's like, hey man, their deal is not going through. They couldn't get financing. I'm like, what? We checked all the boxes. They're good. Their credit's good. Their income's good. XYZ. So fast forward, I'm like, what do I do now? What do I do?
Yeah, what was the fix?
So the fix was, what I did was I called a bunch of people that did, I called the main person that was like selling, it's like a condo development. So I called like the company and I was like, who's your lender? Like, who do you use? And just that, like thinking of like, I guess it's common sense, but I guess it's, everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, well, it makes sense, right? Call the person that's like selling the most amount of places. It was something with the co-op or condo or whatever, something to do with a certain type of loan. That guy was easily able to do it. I was able to get them in touch, and thank God the buyers were okay with going with another lender that they didn't know, but they wanted the place. So everything kind of, it was a little tight at the end on the closing day stuff, but we got it done.
So you were resourceful. That offered leverage.
Correct.
Offered
Persistent.
service.
I just didn't really just be like, all right, deal's not done. I'd try to figure it out,
Excellent, man. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, man. Thank you for having me.
Love picking your brain, especially with a longtime buddy. Hope you enjoyed this podcast episode of Yeah, What's the Rate?
What's the rate?
Vinny.
Yo, thank
Bird
you,
and
man.
Swing.
Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Follow me, Vince Such on Instagram. Yeah. If you're
Excellent.
looking to buy or sell, give me a call.
All right.
If you're looking for some mortgages, call him.
That's it.